So remember when I went on and on last week about the characters I was building and why? Yeah, I deleted one. Alright, so it's the conclusion of my second week on Atlantic after creating a brand new account and trying to develop characters without assistance from any other players. So the three main things that happened this week is I did delete a character, the one I talked about last week. A good amount of effort was put into skilling up and improving the stats of the characters. And lastly, we got ourselves set up with some good starting cash. And I'll take you through how I did all these things throughout the video. So it was while I was actually editing last week's video that I realized that I might be unhappy with the race selection of an elf for my caster. The actual character itself is just supposed to be an administrative character that kind of helps get all my other characters set up, and the convenience of the gargoyle flight along with the mana regen just kind of felt like maybe that made more sense. So much so that I actually put a little footnote in the video that I had already started having regrets about that. For better or worse, I ended up making both characters elf. We'll have to see if I end up regretting that. And I did regret it. So I decided to remake the character as a gargoyle, and because the character is a gargoyle, and I did want to imbue her eventually, I thought I'd revisit the skill build. So the main change that I made was I replaced focus and spell weaving with imbuing and mysticism. Gargoyles get a natural bonus to imbuing due to the Master Artisan racial ability, and given that I already had inscription on this build, which was kind of crafter oriented, I thought this might be a nicer complement. And because imbuing or focus can be a complementary skill to mysticism, I thought we can swap that in as well, so we're getting the synergy there. And because imbuing also lets you unravel magical items, I thought this might be one more way to make a little extra money, was potentially unraveling the junk loot that I find and either selling it or potentially using it for some basic imbues. So the issue that I ran into that I wasn't anticipating is that because gargoyles really can't use elf or human gear, there's a lot less available equipment for sale on vendors. And with my limited resources, I was just not able to build a full LRC suit, and I couldn't wear what I had already built in my other characters. So I essentially had to kind of restart, and I had to farm cash essentially with 75, 80 LRC, which was a pain. So obviously the first thing that I wanted to do was raise all of my skills, with the exception of mysticism, which we'll deal with later, up to 50 using the New Haven quests. It's just convenient to have all of your baseline skills at 50 so that, if you need to use one, at least not it's at 0 when you find yourself in an annoying situation. The next thing that I want to work on is getting my stats up. And for those of you who are new to Ultima Online, UO has 3 main primary stats. Those are strength, dexterity, and intelligence. And from these are derived your hit points, mana, and stamina. The maximum that any one stat can go is 125 points. And there is a combined stat cap, which can range from as low as 225 to as high as 260. And this can depend on the age of your account. At 6 months, your cap goes to 230. And then there's other in-game items that you can use that can increase your total cap by 25 or 30 more points. Needless to say, having your stats develop makes the character much easier. Having more hit points, having higher strength so you can wear stronger equipment, heavier equipment, and having more mana to practice your spells is extremely helpful. So every skill in Ultima Online, whether it be swordsmanship, mining, archery, magery, have stats associated with them. And what that means is when you gain in a skill, there is a small chance that you will get an increase in the corresponding stat for that skill. So for example, if you're practicing magery, magery has a primary stat of intelligence and a secondary stat of strength. So every time you increase in magery skill, there's a small chance that one of those two supporting stats will go up. And by using this knowledge, you can use certain skills to quickly get your stats where you want them to be. So the way to quickly raise stats is to find skills that will raise quickly that impact the stats that you're concerned with. In my case, strength and intelligence. So a really great way to do this is to go around New Haven gathering all the spectral spellbinders and bring them over to the nearest player-placed house that has a patio. They won't be able to hit you because you'll be on the house, but they will be able to cast at you. And because these particular monsters don't cast direct damage spells, they'll only debuff you so you won't die. What this does is it raises 3 skills. Resisting spells, which will build strength, focus, and meditation, which will raise intelligence. Focus also raises dexterity, but I've locked it so it won't impact me. But if you need dexterity, it should help you there. To make this process go even faster, you can use the 720 point skill cap in this game to reset the skills that we're talking about back to 0 and start them raising again quick. Essentially what you would do is once your resisting spells hit 60 or 70, set the skill to down, meaning to lose points, so you no longer can actually gain in that skill. You can return to New Haven and visit trainers, and by paying them gold, you can raise other skills. Once you start bouncing off the 720 skill cap, it's going to begin taking points out of your resisting spells, ultimately resetting it back down to 0. Once it's at 0, you can set it back to up, set the other skills back to down, and repeat the process. This is a really quick way to raise your stats. So over the course of my second week on this server, I did spend about 10 hours off stream working on some skills. The 2 skills that I worked on mainly were inscription and magery, and there's a few interesting ways that you can increase these skills while being able to work on other projects at the same time, and I thought I'd share what those were. For inscription, there's really no trick to it. It's just understanding that the crafting tool itself, if you click the icon over to the right of the spell that you want to craft, it will bring you to a submenu, and that submenu has craft maximum or create max, which will essentially, as long as you have this ingredients in your backpack, it will continue to make what you want until it either runs out of materials, you run out of mana, or the tool breaks, which is extremely convenient. For magery, what I did was simply set a last cast macro to my keyboard, and I just kind of spammed that as I was watching YouTube or watching Twitch or working on other things. That was my way of doing it. If it was a spell that required a target, I would just do a last cast, last target macro. All of this is done in-game in the macros menu. Very simple. I was experimenting with the in-game macros for the enhanced client, and it seems like there's probably ways to do this even more efficiently, but for me this is just kind of how I've always done it, and it's just easy for me, so I do it that way. So the next major thing that we accomplished this week was getting ourselves a good baseline of money to work with so we're not totally broke. We started off killing Ettins. You've seen that throughout the other videos. We moved on to killing Earth Elementals. Started doing that in New Haven. Eventually went to Shame, where there was where the Earth Elementals are a little harder. They pay a little more. And also, I was looting all the little magic items that I would encounter along the way to take them to a Soul Forge and unravel them, just for that extra money. But one of my viewers actually showed me that there would be a really quick way to make money, which was doing the quests for Powder of Translocation. So basically what you do is you find one of these bug pits, and you go find the queen in this pit, and she has you do a bunch of things. Specifically, you got to do a couple different things. Like you got to give her a seed to talk to her, and you've got to have water to fill up their troughs. But the main thing you have to do is you have to gather 200 of this fungus, and she will turn that fungus into the powder that you need. I'm not 100% sure what this powder does. I believe it's the Regent that allows the bag ascending to work, which is an item that lets you send items directly to the bank from anywhere. But there are certain players that will spend a lot of money on these. What I also learned about was that if you don't have a house to set up a vendor, there's a place called New Magnica where other players will set up stalls that will both buy and sell various commodities, including things like pets, which was really interesting. I didn't know about that. So what I did was I gathered a bunch of powder of translocation. I found the highest purchaser in New Magicka, and I sold to that person. And I made a pretty good chunk of change. We're talking about 500K, which was the money that I was able to use to work on Inscription and fill out a few pieces of gear, although I have a long way to go there still. Oh, well, we're not going to be able to afford this even slightly. Why don't we go ahead and remove this and try for just some lower region costs? Okay, this is concerning. I was making my YouTube video last night, and I was like, and I literally recorded a thing that said, I made both characters elf, or something like that, and I was like, we'll see if I regret it. And in that exact instant, I thought, I regret it. For the mage, I regret it. For the other guy, I don't. For the Sampire, I'm happy. For the mage, I'm unhappy. And then I was like, and if we're going to go that, let's, like, I'm already, like, crafting here. Why aren't we doing imbuing? Imbuing's crafting, too, and it's cool, and it has synergies with gargoyles. So here we are, which synergizes with mysticism, which is why you see mysticism. You love it? Oh no, I'm gonna die. I saw you, I was like, oh, I want to see what he thought of the video, and I paid for it. Because I don't want to spend all of my, I'm gonna run out of money probably one of these times. I want to kill one of these, and then I think we've proven our point that this is not a practical way for me to make money right now. I thought, you know, oh, look at that. It just, like, opened up a thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, that's what I'm saying. Oh, he just put the wall back up right after I... Got some imbuing skill. Pretty much unraveled the whole container, too. So check it out. 58 enchanted essences. What is an enchanted essence sell for? We're just murdering these stupid mongbats. And an eagle. I didn't mean to kill the eagle. Mongbats, I did. Macro here. To make this, speed this up. Yeah. But I feel like now we're on a quest to fill these for fun. Maybe not. Troth only? I swear you could do it from... Through this. Someone else can have these pictures. Oh. I guess this is a pitcher of water that's bluer. We need more ingots. Okay. So you could just do one at a time? So how do I actually process fungus? All right. We've got powder of translocation 100. Can I do it again now? So now I have to go do that quest again for her to do that for me. Is that what it is? Powder of translocation. You just do, what do you do? 10? Trade. Okay. Powder of translocation. Quantity 90. There we go. Yeah, we need the ash. Didn't think I'd spend all this money on regions tonight, but it'll be well invested. Getting it off the list. Alright, let's hop in our newly crafted boat. We got a... I wish I had a gold key. Not a huge fan of the inconspicuous brass key. Or whatever this is, iron. Lock this bad boy up so nobody steals our ride. Alright, turn around. Forward. Turn around. Forward. Alright, we found an island. You know, we can get a 9x8 maybe? Like, what do you got? Do you got a quest? What are you doing here, Mozzie? I can train fishing right here on the island? Get out of here. Impossible. First Library of Britain. Alright, it's the first one, so we'll cut it some slack that it's tiny. Alright, so we got the scribe here. Oh, we can buy supplies? This is incredible. More scrolls. Bulk order info. Fireball. Oh. So are they combined? Do they have like big ones like other bulk order deeds? Or should I just fill them in? So should I ask them if they should like and subscribe?
No.
I'm going to try and link the full playthroughs above. If you see them there, it worked. If you don't, I couldn't figure it out. Thanks for watching.